All right. Podcast number 2 of the day here, Mr. Matt. We are
Three.
oh, that's facts. We did an interview earlier. Welcome to By the Book Baseball, the pilot episode. We are also on Pull the Pin podcast, a golf betting site. But today we embark on something new here. Our true love, Matt is a baseball guy through and through from the West Coast. I am a baseball guy from the East Coast. I grew up in the game. This will be the first year since I was 6 years old that I do not put a baseball uniform on when the spring comes around. I was 6 years old when I first started playing, so I'm 39 now. In June, I'll be 40, and I have played or coached every year of my life since I was 6. So this is how I'm gonna try and fill that time. Matt, tell us a little bit about yourself and your baseball journey.
Well, Ty, you made me sad now that you've told me that this is the first time you haven't put on a baseball uniform, since you were 6, because I felt that hanging up my cleats for the last time. Obviously, I didn't necessarily know it, but, it comes one day for each of us. Anyways, my name's Matt. I played baseball my whole life up until 21, well, 20. Played, T-ball all the way up to junior college ball at Mission College in Santa Clara. Played a year there, redshirted first year, but played there, tore my elbow second time, and now I'm a gimp. But
Well,
baseball's
I
always
know
been my first love and always will be.
I know the gimp feeling. So I played pretty competitive adult ball after I left college. I went to Cecil down in Maryland for a year, and then played a lot of twilight and old man ball, and then took up coaching when I was in my late 20s and did it for 11 years. I was the head coach at Lancaster Catholic, which is a local high school around here, for 7 years. Won a bunch of titles, and then I had some kids and decided to step down and turn it over to my JV coach. And so this year we're going to be watching a lot of baseball, but not being around it as much as I have been in the past. So this is definitely a big thing for me to keep my baseball juices flowing. Otherwise, I may lose my mind. Highlight of the career, probably winning the state title in 2018 and district title that year as well. So it's been a good run as a baseball guy, but kind of excited to look at it from this end. I think we both bring some awesome background, and we're going to be able to bring some people on to do some nice interviews and have some fun that way as well. So I guess we should jump right in and talk about what we're looking at for the first couple of shows. What do you think, Matt?
Yeah, I think so. Let's give a little rundown and yeah.
All right. So we've been talking about this in at the shop for a while about how the Hall of Fame is just a travesty at this point. I mean, it's really just the hall of pretty good guys who sports writers liked, and I'm at a point where I can't get behind that anymore. You have the whole shadow of PEDs, but there are convicted felons in the Baseball Hall of Fame, as well as guys that I mean, Bill Mazeroski was a great glove, but is literally in the Hall of Fame because he hit one home run, as far as I'm concerned. And I have some Pittsburgh Pirates fans who might be ready to come at me, but that's not a good enough reason for me for him to be in the Hall of Fame. What's your take?
No, you cannot put Bud Selig in the Hall of Fame. That was like, a lot of people said it, and it's a common argument, but it's just so true. You cannot put Bud Selig in the Hall of Fame, a dude who literally brought baseball back, you could say, but entirely benefited off of PEDs, turned a blind eye to it, literally turned a blind eye to it. You put him in, and then you don't put in the players that really did all the work to bring it back.
I think
this is post-strike, that is.
I think that well, our idea of building a new Hall of Fame through this podcast and the website that we have started that'll be published here probably in the next couple of days is a great place to kind of break into this, right? So I'm not a big believer that there should be anybody but players and coaches in the Hall of Fame. So Bud Selig and the writers, and I know um, there's different sections and we'll just call them rooms in the Hall of Fame, and that's all well and good. That's
Again,
great.
my problem isn't with putting executives and commissioners and whatnot in, but you can't put Selig in and not put Bonds, Clemens,
Oh, yeah,
EDs, and
absolutely.
shit.
No, not
That's
disagreeing
my
with you there.
argument.
Yeah. Yep. I'm
That's
with
my
you
argument.
100%. I'm at a point now where if you've got guys like Bagwell and now Ortiz, who was part of a PED situation himself, Mike Piazza, guys that never got caught, but I mean, did half the guys that are being pushed out ever get caught, fully? So I'm just at a point now where if you're going to let guys in that are testing positive at some point or are also caught up in this, you got to let everybody in. And the fact that Barry Bonds is no longer eligible according to the rules of this Hall of Fame is a sham. It's
It's a
not
crime.
correct.
It's a crime. Yeah.
Yep. I mean, and that goes for other players as well. Um, Mark McGuire was a cartoon character, but Mark McGuire has Hall of Fame numbers. What do you think about Mark McGuire? I'm curious. It's a name we haven't brought up when talking about this.
We haven't, because I mean you can't put him in the same category necessarily as Bonds or some of these other guys. Even Manny Marie, well, Manram's a little different, tested positive a couple times, but I see McGuire as a Hall of Famer. And you want to talk about writing the story of baseball? I think McGuire, he's not a Babe Ruth, but he's absolutely part of it. Again, after the strike, what was the big thing that got people back? It was the McGuire Sosa home run chase. McGuire sets the home run record, and everybody thinks, oh, there's no way anybody's going to do that ever again. Of course, Bonds breaks it, but McGuire at least deserves consideration.
263 career average, 583 home runs. Obviously, had 70 in 98. Hit 52 in 96, 49 and 87. I mean, he put up some pretty prolific numbers. Some of it's juiced. I'm still of the belief, as a guy who played the game at not the highest level and not even a paid level, but at a decently high enough level to understand how hard it is to hit a baseball. I don't know that PEDs is changing much about that. If you barrel the ball up, you barrel the ball up. I mean, maybe it adds some distance, but you may have been a different player than me. So what do you think about that whole standpoint?
I am very much among the people that say steroids help you recover faster, yes, and sure can help you get stronger. It can't make you hit a fucking baseball. I don't care what anybody says. If anybody tries to go up, I remember seeing 93 in my first college game, and I was like, holy shitballs. Like, what am I doing here?
Yep.
What am I? I mean, 93 on the black might as well have been 110.
Yep.
It's just, if you've never tried to hit a baseball, even at a collegiate or high school level, if you haven't played high school baseball, you can't tell me that hitting a baseball is not the hardest thing to do in sports. Because you're a fucking liar.
It's damn near impossible. I mean, you look at anything where the percentage is 3 out of 10 being a successful percentage, and that's not successful, being great. 3 out of 10 is great, and that's it's 30%, right? Like, I mean, we're not talking about we're not even talking about a 50% clip here. We talk a lot of golf in our other podcasts, obviously being a golf podcast, but a lot of guys, I equate it to hitting a fairway. If you hit a fairway, if you could hit a baseball as often as you hit a fairway, you're the best player to ever walk the face of this earth. You're literally a creative
absolutely
player.
But you can see guys, like, say there were 18 par fours or fives instead of par threes. Take out the par threes. The 4 par threes are the typical number of them. If you hit 18 out of 18, yeah, I mean, it's done. It's been done before,
right?
And you see 18 greens in regulation. I mean, not every day, but
it happens.
Usually somebody's gonna do that. I mean, Yeah, it's not the same.
No, not even close. I mean, and then you start to mix in a couple of other factors like just the absolute craziness of what pitchers have been able to do over the years and how they've had to change the game to make pitchers a little less effective and then go back to making them more effective, changing the ball, raising the seams, lowering the seams, all the variables that, are either helping one way or the other. It's just the game is, there's no game better than it. So,
No, there's not. I would love to see any person stand in against 90 miles an hour, or fuck it, let's have Aroldis Chapman just throw 105 right at your skull.
you don't need 100 miles an hour. You don't even need 90. You get most people in against 80, and their sphincter tightens up to the point that they can't move.
Well, here's one of the best things I've ever heard is that, and it's true, is that you take a baseball player and put him in any other sport and he'll compete. You ever seen LeBron James try to hit a baseball? It looks like a scared giraffe or something. I don't even know.
Well, no, you're exactly right. You put a baseball player in any other sport, they're going to compete. They're going to get dirty. They're going to work their ass off. You can't do that with baseball if you don't play it, right? Like you said about LeBron, you can't just throw another athlete into baseball and expect it to happen. Now, I will say I do like John Kruk's philosophy of we're not athletes, we're baseball players, because I've seen a whole lot of baseball players that aren't very good athletes too. I played with a couple of pitchers that were really good pitchers, but my gosh, if you try to do anything else, flag football, basketball, anything like that, they compete, but man, they weren't ready for it. All right, so as far as the Hall of Fame goes, how can we fix it? What do we need to do? What does the game need to do to fix the Hall of Fame at this point? Do you just do what we're going to do and start fresh, or what do you do?
You can't start fresh. That's never going to happen. But here's one thing, and I don't have a full answer for this of the PED questions. Like, do you keep out guys that actually tested positive, like Coors, Bonds, Clemens, and all those guys? I'm sure everybody was, damn near everybody was using roids or had tried roids at some point. But do you keep it to a positive test? What do you do? Do you keep it to admittance like McGwire, Palmeiro? What do you do? You can't start over fresh. But Jeff Passan, I think, said it best with baseball. If you've been to the Baseball Hall of Fame, which I think you said you haven't,
I haven't.
But I've been a couple times. Right before you walk in Monument Hall, there's a plaque up there that says we're doing our best or trying to do everything we can to preserve baseball history and preserve like the accomplishments of these players. And you're going to keep out the home run king and the most Cy Young Award winner of all time.
Yep.
What are you doing?
So do you think do you build a separate wing for guys that are under suspicion, or do you?
No, absolutely not. No, because I feel like they're all on a level playing field at some point.
Well, I think that baseball is the ultimate sport in which you Christ, I don't want to say this too ridiculously, but if you're not cheating, you're not trying. I mean, you want to talk about the Astros stealing signs a couple years ago? They just probably took it a step too far. I stole signs my entire playing career, and if somebody thinks I wasn't,
but you would pick up what the catcher was doing, or you could pick up the coach.
I can tell you right now, I never stood in the batter's box and looked back at a catcher. I never did that. I always
no.
But I stole countless steal signs and bunt signs from third base coaches. I stole pitching signs that guys were flashing to catchers. I mean, that's part of the game. Back in the 80s and the 70s, they were taking greenies, they were taking amphetamines. If you really want to come right down to it, nicotine is a performance enhancer in baseball. It relaxes you. It slows the heart rate down, gets you a little bit more in tune with what you're doing. I mean, performance enhancers in baseball are not new. It just took a more chemical turn as the 90s
science progressed.
Exactly. So I'm with you. I don't believe there should be a new wing. I do believe that they need to make some changes, and that's one of the reasons that we're, it's one of the reasons I wanted to do this podcast. I mean, we're going to do a lot of stuff with this podcast, but one of the main things I want to do is build a Hall of Fame. And
yeah, I agree.
know,
But here, let me just read you what the little bit from the Passan article. So, first
Mm-hmm.
paragraph before you read while you're reading the sign in front of the plaque gallery. First paragraph talks about their accomplishments in the game. Second paragraph address the totality of their careers. And then the final paragraph: the National Baseball Hall of Fame and Museum's mission is to preserve history, not rewrite it. Like you're rewriting it at that point.
Yep. Well, I mean, if you just ignore it's. I mean, I'm at a point here where Shoeless Joe gambled, and he's still got some of the best numbers that any players ever put up. Now I know you get a little frustrated when I talk about players from that era because of what they didn't play against and what the game was like, but the guy's been dead how many years? He was a great player, made a mistake. Do you keep him out? Is that a guy you don't include?
I don't know, because I keep hearing the argument of, Shoeless Joe wasn't a part of that because he hit like 400 in that World Series?
Had the only home run in the World Series.
So I don't know. I don't see. That's the problem. He's been dead forever. History is written by the victors, and he was not the victor in this situation.
Right.
So I don't know. I don't have an answer for you on that one. Great player. I mean, if we're just talking about accomplishments on the field, yes, he's a Hall of Famer.
So one of the things that we'd like to do with this is we're going to put some names out there for our Hall of Fame, our new Hall of Fame, and then we'll throw it up on Twitter and try and share it and see if we can get some votes to see who goes in. All 5 guys will go in, but I'm thinking that the way we build the Hall of Fame, Matt, is that we have tiers. Okay, so or generations, because after our talk today about Babe Ruth, it made me realize a couple of things that are going to be difficult if we're going to rebuild a full-blown Hall of Fame from the start of baseball until now.
Yes.
So I think that we need to have some standards, right? So of these 5 guys, I think, how many generations would you consider in baseball?
Are we talking dead ball, live ball? What's the what's the consideration there?
I'll wait till you come back. I'm deaf and can't hear you.
Are we talking like live ball, dead ball?
So I would say 1885 to 1930, 1930 to 1970, 1970 to 1990, and then the 90s and 2000s all as one.
Okay.
Right. So
okay.
How did I put that? So
do you just want to go, like, we could just go, different play, like we don't necessarily have to go eras. We could just go name a few.
Right.
Like, doesn't really, I'm not going to be offended if you say, all guys from the steroid era. That doesn't bother me none.
No, I'm not really doing it because I think that we're going to have an issue with fighting over guys that need to be in. I was just, after thinking about our talk about Babe Ruth today, right? So I firmly believe that he's a first ballot guy that you put into this new Hall of Fame because of what he meant to the game.
And I can't disagree with you there.
And I can't say that I believe that if the Babe Ruth that played back in the 20s, like, would be the player that he was then today, or in Bonds' era, or even in like Mike Schmidt's era, right? But we also can't say that he wouldn't be. So
yeah, I understand what you were saying earlier with, if he had all the training and maybe put down the cigars for once and actually faced a real pitcher, not named Cy Young or was he even facing Cy Young or Walter Johnson, or were they even before him?
They were a little before him.
Exactly. Okay. But let's say you just took Babe Ruth, the one that we know, the fat guy with the cigars, and you threw him into 2022. Here he is on the Yankees, batting third, number 3, Babe Ruth.
Mm-hmm.
I think he gets fucking torched. That's my only thing. But we don't know that. And this is a total hypothetical. And I'm not going to pretend like I know for a fact because I don't know at all. But
right,
that's just my thought process there a little bit.
Which I understand what you're saying. I don't think that's fair to the game of baseball. I don't think that's fair to the game of baseball. Oop.
No, and that's not fair to the game of baseball. Again, this is preserving history. So Babe Ruth transcended the game. He's first ballot.
All right. So do we want to move into that yet, or do you want to talk a little bit more about the game today? So I've got, we were going to talk about the Hall of Pretty Good, and then our new Hall of Fame, and then the next was going to be the general state of the game. Do you want to stick with the Hall and then go to the general state of the game?
Let's go Hall of Very Good, then Hall of Fame, and then state of the game today.
All right, so we already did Hall of Pretty Good. So we're talking about how it's a travesty. That's basically what I'm calling the Hall of Fame right now. It's the Hall of Pretty Good. I mean, it's not. I have no. I think it's diluted. I think there's too many players in it. So like I talked about Bill Mazeroski earlier. Like I don't think Bill Mazeroski is a Hall of Famer.
I don't think Jim Rice is a Hall of Famer.
Will
Clark is a statistically better player than Jim Rice. Dwight Evans is a better player than Jim Rice by a lot.
Well, here's my thing. As long as you are not just using WAR as your statistical better player,
right? You can't just go off of WAR. That's not how it works.
Okay, just making sure. You were talking a lot about WAR before we hopped on. WAR is a great number. Don't get me wrong.
It's a great stat, but it's not the only stat.
Right. Well, and it's also like, so for somebody like Ken Griffey Jr., who you were talking about, his WAR isn't as good as Chipper Jones.
Mm-hmm.
So like his WAR isn't as good as Chipper Jones because he got hurt. Like if he stays healthy, the trend he's on, like when he left and went to Cincinnati, he hit 300 one more time in his career. Before that, he hit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. He hit 308 times and had more than 40 home runs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times, and ended up with 630 career home runs. Like after the wrist injury, he was never quite the same player. So,
right.
You know, what he was in his prime, though, is good enough for me to think that he's still one of the best center fielders to ever play. I'm also a product of the 90s, kind of like you with Manny Machado. Like, I'm sure that Manny's on one of your all-time lists at this point, and he's just not there yet. He doesn't have the
he's not a Hall of Famer yet. Right. He will be, but he's not there yet.
I hope so, for your sake.
Me too. Oh, thank you. Oh, with the amount of money I've wrapped up in Manny things, oh, Jesus.
In many Manny things.
If there is a God, please help.
All right. Well, then let's start our picks for the Hall. I'll give you first pick. Who's your number one here? I think I know, but Barry Lamar, huh?
Barry Lamar all day of the week. Every single day of the week.
All right. So, I mean, I know we look at this very differently, but I think Babe Ruth, because of what he did for the game, I just don't think we watch baseball the same way we do today without Babe Ruth. I think that's a pretty no-brainer there. So all right, your next pick.
Well, let's talk about that just for a second. So you're right. We don't get the same game we get with Babe Ruth. It's hard to disagree with you there. But Barry took what Babe Ruth did and just did it a whole lot better all over the field.
No, absolutely. I think
that's all there is to it.
I don't discount what Barry Bonds was. Okay, like I don't want it to sound like I don't agree with you that he should be in the Hall of Fame and that I don't think he is one of the best players of all time. He is not the best baseball player of all time.
Barry.
Yes.
You don't think he's the best hitter ever? Do you
No,
think he's
he's
in
not.
Do you think he's in that conversation?
Yes, absolutely in that conversation, and probably top 5.
Yep.
But no, I don't think he's the best player of all time. I also don't think he's the best hitter of all time. I think the PED side of it, although he's still a Hall of Famer, PEDs or no PEDs, I think guys like Ted Williams is a better hitter, just flat out. I think that different kind of hitter, but Tony Gwynn is a better hitter.
Okay.
So like I look at hitting a lot different. Like I don't look at 762 home runs.
No, you can't. I'm just talking about knowing the strike zone and being able to go the other way with it and just flat out being afraid. Because even if Barry wasn't hitting the ball into McCovey Cove, they were just like he would just hit a double.
Sure. I'd
be walking in the segment. That's where I see it. I mean, there are times like I just saw a sac fly from the All-Star game where pitch is coming and he literally goes here, starts his momentum forward, stops because he read curveball and then hits it to the warning track.
Oh, maybe the quickest hands of anybody to ever play the game. Like I mean, I don't have any problem. Like I said, I'm not saying that I don't agree that he is a top 5 talent. I can't say he's the best player of all time. I also don't know that I have a best player of all time.
I don't know if I can answer that for you either.
Right.
But here's my second pick and another giant, but Willie Mays.
Good pick. Just on the Babe Ruth front, the one thing that I have to say about Babe Ruth that stands out is the fact that he still holds 3 all-time records in slugging percentage, OPS, and OPS plus.
Astonishing that Bonds didn't break those, but also, Bonds was the power speed guy when he was younger, and it was like 01 to 04 that he just started torching everybody, mostly power. So I get that.
My second guy is Hank Aaron without a second thought.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe the most underrated baseball player to ever walk face of the earth.
He was he was just a hitter.
I just don't think people understand that he is third in hits all time.
If you take away every single one of his home runs, he still has over 3,000 hits.
Still has more RBIs than anybody ever played the game. 2,297. Still has more total bases than anybody that ever played the game. Never hit over 50 home runs in a season. Never struck out 100 times in a season. Career average of 305. Led the league in hitting twice. Had 200 hits twice. 223 hits in 1959. Just an absolute monster. Was in the top 10 or in the top 20 of MVP voting every year of his career, but 4.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just silly.
No, it's crazy that he is, second all time in home runs, was the home run king for a long time and is still somehow underrated. He is.
Yep.
I agree wholeheartedly. Yep.
All right. Next pick. Really?
You don't think he's a first ballot?
You fought over Babe Ruth, and you think Stan Musial is a first ballot?
Oh, Uncle Ty, don't start with me.
Wow.
3,600 hits. All he did was hit doubles.
So you are putting Stan Musial in before you put Pete Rose in?
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
Absolutely.
I'm not discounting that he was a great player. Once again, just we're picking from 100. Are we at 150 years?
Would you really pick Pete Rose over Stan Musial just because of the hit total? Really? That's where you and I wholeheartedly disagree.
Sorry, I'm looking at numbers. He was a great player. I'm not.
Yes.
And I never was. It's not, but
he was unreal. And anyone that ever saw him play, I've only heard just unbelievable. Dude hit 330 for his career, Ty.
I agree. I'm not saying that, but Ty Cobb hit 364, and we haven't said his name yet.
We haven't. But that's also where you start to get into the, on the field, off the field things. Just rampant racist and an all around asshole.
But that's exactly why we're making this Hall of Fame. It's about players.
Right. Cobb is up there.
Because Bonds isn't in the Hall of Fame if we're talking about morality here.
Bonds is in the Hall of Fame, and a whole bunch of guys aren't in the Hall of Fame then for that reason alone. Cobb's up there. Would it make you feel better if I said Ted Williams over Stan Musial?
Yes, because Ted's my next one.
Then Teddy Ballgame.
Well, no, I mean Ted's my next one. I'll take Ted.
Absolutely. I don't know. You give me Stan Musial. Okay, you're going to start a team, and you give me Willie Mays, Barry Bonds, and Stan Musial. There's the greatest outfield that ever lived.
I get it. I get it. I'm not like I said, I'm not saying that Stan Musial is not a Hall of Famer. Okay, like I'm saying that we're gonna have 50 more episodes where we're putting guys in the Hall of Fame.
So here, let me like go down my super list here.
So we each have 3 right now. So you're on pick 4.
Paul Goldschmidt. I'm kidding.
Yeah, active players aren't eligible anyway. Come on.
I do love me some Paul Goldschmidt, but I'm never ever gonna. Oh,
he's a good player. I think that he has peaked at this point in his career. I think he had a couple of really good years in Arizona, and he gets kind of lost in the shuffle right now in St. Louis. But
look at his last year.
Did he? I didn't see his stats from last year.
Just torch. He's back to himself. Like
he's also getting some protection in that lineup from Nolan Arenado. So that's
but Goldschmidt's raking, and Arenado, 30 home runs again, but hit 260. He's 290 plus.
Yeah.
All right, last pick, Cy Young.
No, you
literally has an award.
We each have 2 more picks. We're gonna do 5 each.
Okay, Cy Young.
All right.
The award for, if you're gonna argue with me, the award for best pitcher every single year. What's it called, Uncle Ty?
It is. It's
yep.
But okay, so your argument about Babe Ruth, I have the same for Cy Young. Like he has a ton of wins. The rest of his stats, they're good, but he has a ton of wins. I think he also
does have a ton of wins, but he would also throw 9 million innings a game. So.
Right. He also has the record for losses as well. Correct.
Yeah, I think he has more losses than most pitchers have wins.
Yeah, I think he has like 500 losses or
315 losses. Yep.
Yeah. Yep.
But it's hard to argue the Cy Young Award, still given today, as I'm never gonna.
No, I mean he's still like if you just look at Baseball Reference, 511, 315, and 315, 815 games started, 749 complete games, 7,356 innings, 7,092 hits, 2,147 earned runs. 29,565 batters faced.
Yes.
All right. No, I'm totally with that. I agree. I'm going to throw a pitcher on the card as well. Steve Carlton is going to be a first ballot pitching Hall of Famer. I don't know that Steve Carlton.
Motherfucker, if my pick at Stan. Okay.
Are you serious right now? Have you ever looked at his numbers?
They're incredible. I'm not saying that Steve Carlton is bad, but you wouldn't take like Greg Maddux over Steve Carlton.
No.
Okay.
329 and 244.
Okay.
I mean, where are we here?
Give me Tom Seaver.
That is a sin. You take that back. You take that back.
What's the matter with you?
Tom Seaver was a great pitcher.
Oh my god.
Oh my god, are you this
We
upset?
might not be friends after this, Uncle. No, I'm kidding.
I would say that Steve Carlton and Stan Musial pick are right about on par with each other.
That's exactly what I'm saying. Don't you fucking come at me, woman, with your Steve Carlton pick and then shit on me.
Well,
for my,
it wasn't going to be Carlton, but I didn't know we were just doing the Hall of Pretty Good to start.
Oh. You know what? I'm taking Armando Benitez. That's who I'm taking.
Honestly, though, what other pitchers would you throw in there? I mean, I'm not
as opposed to Steve Carlton.
Yes, and stack their numbers and tell me why.
Can't you compare players in this?
In Baseball Reference? I don't think so. His career ERA is 3.22 because in his 40s he should have retired at 40, and his career ERA would have been like 2.99.
Well, Jamie Moyer should have retired at 30. Sorry, Jamie Moyer, I love you.
329 wins. Where's the stat I'm looking for here? I think he's third all-time in strikeouts with 4,100, most by any lefty ever, unless Randy Johnson passed him, which is possible. I just don't know off the top of my head.
You're saying all-time strikeout leaders, left-handed pitchers?
Yes. He won the Cy Young 4 times. He won 27 games for a last-place team. There was a season where he won a quarter of his team's games. Like,
Randy Johnson, all-time strikeouts, 4,875.
Yeah, I thought he passed him, so he's not the leader in left-handed strikeouts anymore. But best slider of all time, hands down, the best slider to ever be thrown in baseball.
Sergio Romo cries.
No.
Okay, here's a one question for you.
Okay.
You got a 1-game playoff. You have fuck it, Game 7 of the World Series. Got to win it. I'm going to give you Steve Carlton. I'll take Bob Gibson any day of the week.
Oh, Bob Gibson was really, really good. He just didn't do it for as long.
He didn't do it for as long. I agree.
Carlton.
He's only got. But pitcher wins is such a stupid stat because
I'm not even using wins as the stat that I like about it. All right.
Okay.
He was as good as anybody, wins or not, because in 1973 he lost 20 games because of how bad the team he was pitching for was.
Yes.
Okay. But the guy was just the pillar of consistency for 20 of his 24 seasons.
Don't get me wrong. Steve Carlton was incredible. He was incredible. I just could name, a few more that I'd take over him, is all I'm saying.
I feel the same way about Stan Musial.
Fair enough. I agree to disagree there.
Listen, I think Stan the Man was a great player, but he's not coming before Ted Williams in any list. He's probably not coming before Mickey Mantle on my list. And I don't think Mickey Mantle's a top 5 player. Stan Musial was a great player, but I'm saying probably in the top 20. Like
Stan Musial in top 20.
I'm probably, yes, top 20.
Okay.
We're talking era again here too.
Yeah, right. I get that, but also Stan Musial did this against people of all races, sizes, shapes, colors. They
didn't know how to throw a cutter.
You and your fucking cutters can
No,
go
that's
shove it.
listen. That's just the point, though. You can't use era as an argument. Okay, like you can't tell me Babe Ruth wouldn't have been as good today as he was back then.
Right. We don't know that.
Right. Okay. So
So
I don't disagree that Stan Musial should be a pick on this list. I wouldn't have.
it would not be one of yours.
Just like Carlton wouldn't be that high for you.
Right. No, Carlton's one of the greatest pitchers of all time. He's just not first ballot for me. My heart wants to say Roger Clemens, and even more of an out there pick, Roberto Clemente. But I'm not going to do that. I mean, if we're talking forget eras, all that stuff, it is Ty Cobb. Was the all-time hits leader before Rose.
Is that your
The dude played 24 seasons and racked up 4,200 hits.
He also hit 364 for his career and was just absolutely I mean, I know he was apparently an absolute douchebag, but I mean, just the utter ridiculousness of some of his numbers are insane. I mean, runs scored, stolen bases. He's literally he's Ricky Henderson before Ricky Henderson with a better average.
Yeah, I agree. Different era, no home run, not as many home runs. I get that.
Right. Still 117 home runs was a lot for a guy back then.
That was a ton back then.
Yeah. But I mean, when you pull up his baseballreference.com page, just all the black numbers where he led the league all those times. Surprisingly, in that era, that he only hit over 400 twice.
Yeah, that is a little nuts. Although, you know, he never did. And
three times. He hit 400 3 times.
One of my favorite players ever, and mostly because I got to see pretty much, well, not his whole career, but a lot of his career, Ichiro.
Man, did he start an argument between me and a guy at work the other day.
I know, and that's fucking ridiculous. But Ty Cobb never had 200 hits in a season, 10 straight seasons.
There you go.
Didn't say this last hits
guy, I have a feeling you're going to
say George Sisler, you fucking asshole.
No, I'm not. But no, I'm not. I'm curious to see what you say about this, but I don't know that he ever gets as much credit as he gave himself, and we already talked about him here. Ricky Henderson is a guy that needs to be
up there, absolutely up there. Maybe not first ballot for me, but holy shit, that guy could play. Look at his stolen base numbers hurt my head.
Well, I saw what it was like. If somebody stole 50 bases, they'd have to do it for they'd have to steal 50 bases for 40 seasons.
I think it was D. Gordon, the current leader, whoever the current leader in baseball is.
Well, I mean, his stolen bases are 1,406. You know, and then he leads the world in being caught stealing at 335, but that percentage is insane.
Yeah.
To steal 1,400 bases and only get caught 336 times is just silly. And to score 2,295 runs, hit almost 300 home runs. I swear to God, he was hanging around in baseball because he wanted to get to that 300 home run mark. I firmly believe that.
He had an 807, but he was successful 80% of the time stealing bags.
Yep. 400 on base percentage for a leadoff guy. Never hit much for average. Did win an MVP. Played for a butt ton of teams. Played for a really long time. And I mean, there was a pretty big drop off after 2000. He hit 315 and 99 for the Mets. And, after that, it was a pretty big drop off for the last 3 years of his career. But just a guy that I don't think gets commented on as what kind of great player he was for as long as he was. I mean, there's literally something called a Ricky rally. He'd walk, steal second, steal third, score on a sack fly. You know, I mean that's something to behold there. So our list today, our first ballot is basically what we will call this. Goes Bonds, Ruth, Mays, Aaron. I can't fight with any of those. Musial, Williams, Young, Carlton, Cobb, Henderson. Man, your face went so weird when I said Carlton. It was just hilarious.
I was just waiting for you to say something stupid, but you didn't, so I'm proud of you.
Stupid what? What would I have said?
Just something that I don't know. I thought you were going to argue with me over Musial again.
No. Listen,
Mr. Napla Joey, where's that pick?
Well, I mean, we also completely scathed over guys like Honus Wagner, who were, huge guys in the day back then.
There's definite recency bias. Absolutely.
Yeah, but I think that comes out in the wash as we move on. Like, I would say, like, the first couple episodes, the picks are going to be a little more recent just because we're not diving in as deep as we're going to have to as we move forward, right? I think, how many guys do you think should be in a Hall of Fame? For what
I think it's just the best of the best. Your stats will speak for themselves. It's the best of the best. So,
yep.
Again, that's why I have a problem with guys like Jim Rice over Will Clark.
I don't think either of them are Hall of Famers. Is Mattingly a Hall of Famer?
That's a borderline pick. Now, I don't know the exact answer to that, but to me, he wasn't the best of the. He was very good. That's Hall of very good. Him and Clark, Hall of very good.
Will Clark and Don Mattingly are literally the same player with less coverage.
Yeah, I mean, here's one thing. I will go back to WAR for this for a second. Don Mattingly, according to Baseball Reference, 42.4. Will Clark, 56.5.
So pretty close.
Very close.
Yep. And I mean, Jim Rice is probably right around there.
Let me see.
And I don't think that, like I said, I don't believe that either Clark or Mattingly are Hall of Famers. I think they're really good players. They were great players, but not
Hall of Famers.
Right.
But also, who are we to say who's a Hall of Famer or not? We're just a couple of dingalings that like baseball.
Sure. That's why this is fun, right? Like,
exactly. This is all hypotheticals here.
We can sit there and argue over whether or not Steve Carlton is the best left-handed pitcher of all time. Like, we can do that. Like, that's literally why he's on my list. He's the best left-handed pitcher of all time, in my opinion.
Give me Clayton Kershaw. And that's not a joke. I love that. I love Clayton Kershaw. I do. I hate the Dodgers. I hate him more than anything.
I'm sure.
God damn it, Clayton Kershaw's good.
I gotta see numbers that make me feel like that's an actual. He's been very good.
Yeah. Are you just seeing that now and going?
No.
Shit.
It didn't even come up yet. All right, there's the numbers.
Kershaw hasn't played long. Kershaw hasn't played long. He's on a great trajectory.
He's been exceptional, except for the fact that, like, in 2020 he was it was shortened season. Sorry, 6-2, 18, 9-5. So I mean, we're talking about
hurt. 2016 hurt. Yeah,
right.
Injury. I mean,
it's like injuries. I hate saying it like this, but a guy like him, injuries help your numbers, right? You don't throw as much. Your ERA is going to look a whole lot better if you throw well when you're out. He's really good. He's not the best left-handed pitcher of all time.
No, he's not the best. He's not. I'm not.
I think so. For me, that Carlton pick was him or Koufax, and the reason I went him was Koufax didn't do it long enough.
Did you see Kershaw's 13, 14, 15 run.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at it right now.
183, 177, 213, and then of
Yep.
course he was hurt in 16, but before he got hurt, 169.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, he's been really, really good. He's also
I mean,
pitching in a really different game, right?
he is.
I mean, the amount of swings and misses that exist in today's baseball are just so different. I would love to see a guy like Carlton or Koufax throw in today's game. Both guys
Oh, that'd be unbelievable.
Who threw hard enough and just had the stuff to get anybody out, you know. But like I said, I was my pick, the Carlton pick is 100%. I was trying to pick who I thought was the best left-handed pitcher of all time because I figured you were going to pick Clemens at some point, right?
Not this time. Not this time.
I know, but I thought you were going to.
Okay.
So I figured the best right-handed pitcher of all time was going to get taken off the board.
But is Clemens statistically the best right-handed pitcher of all time? Is he?
Who's better?
Like
other than Cy Young, numbers wise.
I mean, that's a tough argument. If we're just talking about
right.
Yeah, just from.
I mean, I was sitting there trying to think. I was like, okay, he's probably going to take Clemens. I think Clemens is the best righty of all time. I think the biggest surprise I have with this list is that we don't have a shortstop on it, do we?
No, because that argument's always between Ripken and Jeter was the most overrated defensive shortstop of all time, but that's for another day.
Oh, Jeter's not even in my top 50.
Okay, so we agree on something. Unbelievable.
Yeah, no. Hey, listen, clutch, great player. Will be on this list at some point.
Absolutely.
But no. Ernie Banks will be a shortstop on this list before him.
That's one that people forget is that Ernie Banks was a shortstop too. I'd put Banks over. Well, I don't know. Do you see it as Ripken and Banks as the top two?
Gosh,
where does Ozzie Smith rank there?
Ozzie was just never good enough offensively for me to think that he's
defensive wizard.
Right. I mean, defensively, him and Omar Vizquel might be the greatest two defensive players to ever step foot on the planet.
I have one that's going to be in that conversation if he stays healthy and plays long enough.
Who's that?
Andrelton Simmons.
Good player.
Just the shortstop. He set the record for defensive runs saved in a season. He had, 41? Where's defensive runs saved? Where's standard fielding?
I would like to know how much the shift is affecting that stat.
I'm going to send you some Andrelton Simmons plays, and then you tell me that any normal human being gets to the balls that he gets to.
I mean, have you ever seen the play where Ozzie Smith had a ball hit a pebble and he just completely goes?
Yeah, he just goes like this.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I'm not saying Simmons is a great athlete, great player. I don't mean it that way, but I'm not going to say he's Ozzie Smith or Omar Vizquel yet.
Not yet, but I have a very good feeling he will be.
I hope you're right.
Me too.
I don't have any reason not to. But we got off the topic of Clemens as best right-hander. I don't know.
I can't argue with you there.
I mean, you've got guys like Maddox. I mean, Maddox is definitely up there, right? 78 pitch complete game shutout one day. You've got guys like that. So I mean, there are definitely other great right-handed pitchers. Bob Gibson, you brought him up earlier, great pitcher.
But he didn't do it long enough. You're absolutely right there.
Right. You get Denny McLain, a guy who won 30-plus games. You can go back farther, Walter Johnson. I mean, there's a lot of great right-handed pitchers that have come through. There's some guys that people don't think about. Don Sutton, Tom Seaver.
I said Seaver, and you wanted to fight me.
Well, you said Seaver over Carlton. I just don't think that's even remotely close.
I'm sorry you feel that way.
Listen, I shouldn't say it's not remotely close. It is close. Like I said, I was trying to throw who I think is the best left-handed pitcher of all time because I put a lot of emphasis on pitching, and I thought for sure that Clemens was going to be on your list, so I didn't take Clemens. And I was like, okay, well then we'll take the best the best lefty of all time and the best righty of all time. And I'm sure there are people that would fight me that Randy Johnson is the best lefty of all time, and and that's fine. I'm just showing my age a little bit, I guess.
Yeah, maybe so, but this is why this is such a great debate, though, and you could debate this forever and be blue in the face and then fall over dead. Yeah, that's what it's going to happen with baseball.
Yep.
You're going to debate this forever, and I don't think there's one right answer.
No, there's not, and that's why it's a ton of fun. The whole thing here is that I don't want to see. I keep saying his name because it's just the one that pops up. I don't want to see Bill Mazeroski in this Hall of Fame.
Right.
The one we're
making. I mean, it's just there are some players in the Hall of Fame, especially from the early eras, where it's just like obviously they didn't know what was coming after them, but if you look at some of the names in there,
well, here's one I'll ask you about. Yogi Berra. Is Yogi Berra a Hall of Famer?
Can you write the story of baseball without Yogi? Probably. I mean, he won a lot of titles, and he's famous for Yogiisms. But I think that's.
I don't think you can base the Hall of Fame on. Can you write the story of baseball without him, without a guy like I that's just too narrow, right?
It is.
You can write the story of baseball without Barry Bonds.
Just not as fun.
Exactly. So I think it's more like, where do titles play into a guy's worth, right? Was Yogi Berra more worth? Did he have more worth than his stats because of the games he called in World Series games, right? Like as a catcher, handling a pitching staff, like. Is that how you look at a guy like that? And I don't know. I mean, that's up for debate. It's interesting. I don't think we're going to be talking about him for a couple of episodes yet. I think, we'll be pretty far down the line. But, right now I'm satisfied with the list today. There's no way in 10 picks to satisfy every need, right? So there's going to be 10 more picks and then 10 more picks. And hopefully, it gets to a point where we're like, oh crap, I got to do some homework tonight to make sure I'm not missing somebody.
Yeah, make sure we're not missing players, but also if we do this for long enough, I think we're going to run out.
Yeah. Oh, I agree. I don't know that there's actually more than 100 players or 150 players that really should be in the Hall of Fame.
Jack Morris?
No.
No.
Great player, great pitcher. Did it for a long time.
He's also mostly known for the postseason.
Right. And that's fine. That's great, but still not enough. All right. So
Enos.
Go ahead.
Enos Slaughter.
Played with a broken elbow.
I don't care that you broke your elbow.
Went into second base standing up on a double play and wore it off the face for a runner to score, and when he was playing for the Gas House Gang.
Oh yeah, he'd. No, I've heard some Enos stories, but yeah. No, that's another one that's debatable.
I don't know. I mean, I know who he is. I know the era he played in. I couldn't tell you a stat on his list. I mean, on his birthday. Jackie Robinson, should he have been on this first ballot?
Statistically, no. For what he did for the game of baseball, maybe number one.
Yep. Yeah, I'm with you 100% on that. Probably going to be episode 2. He'll be one of the first picks, I would guess.
Yep.
Let's move on here. We got 2 more things to get to quick. General state of the game today. Good, bad, okay.
Fuck you, Rob Manfred, you fucking asshole. That's how I feel about the state of the game today. I think the state of the game is fantastic when you actually watch the damn thing, but they don't market their fucking players. Manfred is just inept as a human being, and if they lock the players out again for the season, like if there's a full-on MLB lockout, I don't think baseball ever recovers. Now, I don't know that, but I don't think it recovers anything like it. Like it cannot happen. And this is 150% Rob Manfred's fault and the owner's fault. And they're just such morons.
Should there be a salary cap in baseball?
I think there should be a salary cap and salary floor. So you can't have these fucking teams that tank and just one of the best things I've ever heard. He's a Pirates fan. One of our good family friends. He's a huge Pirates fan. But he goes, the Pirates, like, I think they were paying one guy like over half of the entire salary or something stupid like that. They aren't required to spend money. Why is there a salary floor?
I think that if there was a cap, I don't think you need a floor, right? So if there's a cap, you've got, and you're the Pirates, you don't have to try and keep up. You just know where you can go, right? So I believe that if there was a salary cap, that the game would change. I think that it would change drastically. I think that analytics would change. I think that the way they are building teams would change. I think that is the best thing that you could do for baseball right now is put a salary cap on teams.
What, so the Dodgers can't buy all their championships?
So nobody can buy a championship, right? Here's a game that's been built on farm systems, right? It is a game that has been built on multiple levels. It's not like the NFL or the NBA where, you know, you either make it or you don't. Now, don't get me wrong. I know the NBA has the D or the G or the F League or whatever the fuck it is, but I really don't care. Major League Baseball has a history with minor league. Okay. Like, I mean, they're just, and they make great little towns even greater, right? And it's the way to save the minor leagues. It's a way to get the game back in hand where, you know, it just, I believe that a salary cap would fix a lot of the issues. I think there would be more parity and less top heavy. As far as the state of the game, at the major league level, it's tough to watch right now. For a guy
I don't
like
think
me.
it's tough to watch. I thoroughly disagree with you there because I think it has more to do with the fact that MLB doesn't market their players. They copyright strike everything. They don't want you to share these things that they post because they want all the credit or whatever. But
See, what does that have to do with the quality of the game, Matt?
are you just talking about on the field right now?
Yes.
Are you just talking about home run or strikeout? Like, what's your argument there?
I just have a huge issue watching boom or bust baseball. Like there are just so many other ways to play the game that are effective. And when you sit there as a guy who coached as much as I have and see the beauty in the game and the chess match in the game, for the chess match to be turned into checkers is sad for me.
Agreed. That I can't disagree with you there.
Right. So like when you watch a guy like Bryce Harper hit a piss missile into right field and there is a guy standing there because nobody is worried about him pushing the ball to the left side, that's just sad to me.
You know, Joey Gallo striking out 200 times a season, but still making an all-star team?
Yes. Yep. Guys hitting 240 and making all-star teams. Guys, you know, Tony Gwynn's rolling over in his grave. Ted Williams' frozen brain is breaking. You know, that's why the game is struggling because there's no creativity to it anymore. Right? Like, don't get me wrong, home runs are awesome. I'm not trying to say let's keep the ball in the ballpark. That is not what I am saying. What I am saying is be a little creative sometimes, right? Like if you've got to face Kershaw, make him move, make him field his position 5 or 6 times early in the game. See if he stays as sharp, right? Getting a pitcher off his mark is one of the easiest ways to get him out of rhythm, right?
And absolutely.
Nobody does it. Like nobody has the balls to go up there and be like, you know what? If you're going to shift our first 4 batters, we're going to bunt all 4. And we're going to work on it all spring training just so we can do it. Like, they're not going to be able to shift all game long if you would do it early in the game, and that's drastic. That's out of the out of the stratosphere. It's never going to happen, but it's just one more thing to think about, right? I just I miss baseball being diverse, right? It's not.
I agree, but also if you look at the way that these people are teaching hitting now and
Oh, it's
teaching certain things, like the launch angle swings and whatnot, have you ever watched videos of Barry, like back to Barry Bonds? Have you ever watched him talk about his theories on hitting and how he wanted to catch the ball with his bat?
Yep.
And he taught Christian Yelich, certain drills to do, and was very Christian Yelich said it himself, very key in helping him become a better hitter. I mean, Yelich was a damn good hitter to begin with, but you watch that dude just hit doubles the other way.
If we go down this rabbit hole, we're going to talk till midnight.
We are.
Because I mean, as a guy who coaches high school age players, the swing that's being taught to these players at that age is wrong. It's launch angle is not new. Okay, so Ted Williams talked about launch angle back in the 50s and 60s. The degree that they're asking kids to launch from is what's wrong. Okay, you do need to launch. You need to meet something coming down, coming up. You don't need to go vertical on it though. And man, we'll do an episode on that. We have to. I mean, I have all sorts of anger towards. I watch kids that are, guys built like you, that are tall and long. Like that's a swing that I can teach you, right? You get a kid that's 5'3".
You have to be strong. You have to be strong. That's the biggest problem. You have to have some.
Let me finish. Okay. My big issue with instructors today is it's all cookie cutter. It doesn't matter if they get Matt, who's, what are you, 6'3"?
1.
You're taller than that. Matt, who's 6'3", and is long and can create leverage, and hopefully we can bulk him up. We're going to teach him this swing. And now we're going to get Ty, who's 5'8", 155 pounds, and can run like the wind, but we're going to teach him the same swing, even though that's really just not effective for him, right? And not just that, not only do you have to be strong, but if you don't see the inside pitch, you're done. You become a one-dimensional hitter no matter how you work it, unless you're an absolute stud. But we've gone for an hour and about 10 minutes. I think it was a pretty good first episode. We'll throw it up on Spotify probably tomorrow. Working on the website. I will throw all the names that we picked for the first ballot of Hall of Fame up on Twitter. Get some votes. I'm sure that Carlton will get the least.
Suck me, Ty.
I'm being honest. I wasn't
listen. A lot of your friends are Phillies fans, and I'm sure. Well, I don't know. Again, this is not disagreeing that Steve Carlton was great, but come on now. Come on, Ty.
Best left-handed pitcher of all time.
Hard to argue, but there's a few. Lefty Grove. Right. Continue.
Once again, like I said, there's guys like Sandy Koufax as well. Like just who I think is the best left-handed pitcher of all time, and I thought you were going to take the best right-handed pitcher of all time. So I was trying to meet the list in the middle. But all right, I think that we sign off there. Do you have a night a week that you want to do this, or do we figure it out as we go?
Kind of up to you. I mean, you tell me a night, and I'll make sure it works or doesn't work. I'm pretty open most nights.
Okay. So. All right. I mean, Monday nights are usually pretty decent, probably about this time. Yep. So let me talk with the boss, and we'll figure it out. And man, I got to tell you, I just love sitting here talking baseball. I could do it. Like I said,
I do too.
It's literally the fastest hour and 9 minutes I've had in forever.
I know, it feels like we just talked for 10 minutes.
Yep. So I certainly want to keep doing it. I don't care if anybody watches or not. If they do, Like and subscribe. It's at the By the Book Baseball YouTube channel, and keep looking for some content. The website will be up and in better condition here soon. Got to get some pictures up that aren't just me holding trophies and wearing medals. That's kind of weird.
Sorry that you're a winner, Ty.
Well, it was for a coaching site originally.
I know,
So-
but you are a winner.
Oh, thanks. Especially with that Carlton pick.
Yeah, there you go.
All right,
Golly.
brother. What's that?
Golly.
Golly. All right, man. I will catch up with you soon. Great first show. For Matt, I'm Ty. Follow us at bythebookbaseball.com on YouTube and I should have changed my tags here, huh? At PTP 2021 is our
Oh, boy.
other podcast.
Shout out, pull the pin.
Yeah. And we also have By the Book Base B1 at By the Book Base B1 is the Twitter account for this show. So, Matt, have a great evening. We'll see you soon, and hopefully you can get over here to Narnia and check it out sometime soon.
Sounds good, Uncle Ty.
All right, brother. See you soon.